Hi there, Randi Gren here, continuing my creative 3-7-day. 3 is kind of bridging into the time-space continuum we're part of, and 7 is new beginning. So this is why I'm doing these videos today. And let's continue where we took off in the other video, the company called Earth, and continue with that analogy because I find it brilliant, and it ties into some of the ways I would like to work with humanity, if I am to work with humanity, but to work, it's a setting. We all need a setting, a framework, a frame of reference, a kind of belief system, if you like, or a kind of setting into which we understand reality. So this is me creating a one where I find that is most fitting to the type of reality we actually have. And at the same time, it allows to bridge into the other realities that are also part of our reality, which we need to begin to understand and work with in higher awareness. And as I said in the previous video, I'm no CEO on a world level. Of course not, I'm not. But I am here in this reality as the rest of you, and I'm part of this company as the rest of you, and I'm running my department. So let's see, in my department, I'm the leader of this department. And the question is if you want to apply to work in my department, or if you just want to get inspired by my department in this world company. My department works with transmutation and innovation, as well as sciences on templates, as well as progression. So we are kind of having a broad scope of function in this little department I am kind of administering for now. And these goes back to what I originally called the workstations. The workstations are a kind of future thing that actually bridges back into the past. So they are a part of futures of human races that have developed from this system. And in the same way, they are also the past. But that kind of understanding of working with transmutation, progression, and templates, as in genetics, setup, and engineering, is part of the workstations of the future. And these are, if you want to put them in a specific way, a type of parallel reality in the Jupiter system. Okay? But that's just part of some of the future. And that's where I'm pulling in some of this information and some of this fun I'm having here, because this is me having a little bit of fun. And the fun thing is that I find it exciting that I have found a frame of reference that actually bridges outside the normal way of working with high awareness, and at the same time it actually allows for the high awareness to come into this reality, which is not then confined into a new age or a spiritual or a spiritist or some kind of the old ways of thinking. This is me trying to say, okay, we're having a business here, and we're having a company, and there is progression abilities, and there are expansion ways we can do this, which will allow humanity to grow into a high awareness of what they actually are, and at the same time figuring a way to bridge us into the current reality we actually have. Because if you kind of go with the whole spiritual way, it's kind of taking you away from this reality, and I want to bridge us in. This is our world, this is where we are. Our consciousness is not supposed to float off to somewhere else. It's supposed to be right here, right in our faces, right in this body, expressed into this reality, because we want to change this reality. So this is the innovation department you're part of. With that main goal, we want to change this reality. But we're also scientific, and we are also doing the progression, and we're also doing the transmutation, which will take a lot of experimentation to get that one right with the current types of physical forms that we have got, the way that we are living our lives, and everything that's kind of going on in this physical reality. And we have to reinvent all that from anew, and we have to rediscover ourselves, and we have to remember, remember, which kind of means again, member, becoming part of, again, becoming part of who we actually are, and in that develop our skills in my department so that we can add more to the company. And eventually, if we're doing it well enough, we can actually change the way that the top is thinking. So that is some of the things that we're doing in our department. And the top knows that we're doing this. They're not working against us, because they actually kind of invited us, kind of created this ability, giving an option for this ability, this department, to unfold in the company, because they know in the long run they will have to progress. All companies, no matter who they are, where they are, when they have taken over the markets that are there, which are all the futures, as I talked about in the previous video, that has all been played out. They need to invent something new. And this is where the departments of innovation typically comes in as in kind of, okay, clever people, you figure out you figure out how to do this, because we're a little bit too stuck in our ways up here. So we need someone further down who can think new, who are eager to think new, and at the same time refer back to the top, and in that ping pong with the top as in kind of, okay, so this is where the company needs to go and what needs to be done with these innovations, and are they plausible, and can we implement them into the physical reality. So this is what we're doing here. So this is how I'm going to play this one out, and I'm quite satisfied with that context, because for me, because I'm educated within business, so that's why I'm also finding because that is actually kind of, it goes everywhere. Yeah, I'm a healer, been trying to do that, kind of get stuck at some point. It's good to be a healer and try to help people that way, but it just kind of gets stuck with the personal development. That's really can't really heal people to go out and participate in the world, so to speak, create new businesses. Well, you can, but it's a matter of the frame of reference. The belief system is too narrow. So for me, it's been a matter of, okay, which frame of reference, which belief system will expand and grow as we go along. And this one will do that. That can bridge into all sorts of plausible futures inside this reality with that way of thinking. So my goal is that with the work that we are doing here, is that you will take any businessman, any businesswoman, any normal person on this planet, and higher awareness will be trendy. This will be the new norm. That's the goal. No more, no less. Higher awareness is the new norm. That's going to be trendy for everybody. So this is what we're working for. This is the innovation. Okay, it's not about disclosure. It's not about this and that, whatever. It's about saying, okay, we are creating a new market here. And the market is to make higher awareness trendy. So how do we do that? Isn't that exciting? I find it very exciting. So this is the new department. And for now, I'm leading it. I've got some of my workers with me as well, and we're having a lot of talk about what is this and what is that and all this kind of thing. For now, just as a simulation. Eventually, these simulated inner personalities will be groomed into physical form, and they will come my way in physical form, and I will hire them as I see what they are capable of doing. Because I've worked in recruitment as well in this physical reality. So you see, I've groomed myself into this, running this department. And when I was in my 30s, I was running a school or kind of a simulated company for a school where I taught young people how to work in a company, creating simulated companies. So that was kind of simulated departments and all this kind of thing. So I've got all the equipments ready. I know how to recruit. I've been working with CEOs most of my life, which has been part of who I am, because I kind of always have to put my nose into things that are not mine to put my nose into. I've been doing a lot of ping pong with my leaders, which I've been working under in different positions. I've been doing recruitment. I have done accounting. Yawn. Making websites. I have done all the kind of things that needs and it's important to run a company on different levels, plus the understandings of what is actually needed for the company. Plus, I've educated myself in human resources and management, as well as business law and all these kind of things. So, and business strategy and all these kind of things. So I got the whole kind of just me kind of pulling out my backpack and saying, okay, hit it. Now we go. This is how we're going to do it. And those of you who've been following me for quite some time will say, what's going on there? It's the bridging point, people, the bridging point. We need to find a way, a gate, between the inner realities and the outer, and find the right gate so we can bridge it into this reality. But we have to be very, very observant of how we're doing it, and in what means and in what ways, and which futures this bridge into. And this is where the scientific understanding comes in. So we have to have a lot of skills in this work, and this is where my department comes in. And for now, I'm administering it, which reminds me, at some point I was working in a company, and I was working as a secretary for the boss, and he kind of went, oh, she's got a lot of good ideas and whatever. And he finally gave me my own department, so this just kind of putting that one in play as well. In a totally different building, I was sitting there on my own, being creative and figuring out these things. So this is where you will see me ignite and say, okay, this is how it's going to be. So I find that interesting and funny, taking the business setup, because if you look at our world, it is a business. Politics is a business. The politicians are literally just running a household. Call it a country. It is a household. It is a matter of administering money. It's a matter of administering the resources. It's a matter of administering how things are going to go and what future they want to bridge into, the markets. So this is a perfect analogy, because if I were to go within religion, no, I've been there, done that, didn't lead to anything. It led to total disasters in the Middle Ages, where everybody just kind of doesn't lead to any good, and it narrows the mindset. So, but if you do too raw business, that is not good either, because then you just get too greedy and too money focused, as in kind of just earning money. And that is not where we want to go either. So it's a new type of business. And a new type of business has a lot to do with understanding the reality you're part of. And this is where we have businesses that are beginning to work with sustainability and looking into the environment and looking into what the consequences of the things that we are doing. But they are still very, very prone to machinery and prone to the ways that they are typically doing it, because they're afraid of losing an income. They're afraid of losing their market. They're afraid of losing their stand in the market. They're afraid of go broke. So, of course, they are restricted in how much they can actually do. And this is the good thing where it comes in. This is the good thing where my department comes in, because my department's not afraid of these things. I am not afraid of going broke. I'm not afraid of all these kind of things. So I've been through all of that. I've been through all of these different ups and downs and different ways of letting go of the security programs. This is important for me to live this way because I have to earn money and I have to do this. I have to put some light on here. I have to do this and I have to do that to sustain my family and to take care of my family and all these kind of things. So I've been through all of these programs, which I call the maze programs. And the maze programs are all the fears that are running humans, as in kind of why they can't do this new invention thing, why they can't just branch out and do something else. I won't look at that because that's not of interest. When I do the whole classes, we are doing this process together where we look into all of these kind of things. So this is not what I want to use these videos for. And I have another YouTube channel that's called the Whole Channel, the High Awareness Lifestyle Channel. And in there, I will put more kind of how to do it in a more kind of practical way, but not too much. Because as I said in the first video, your developmental process is individual. So that means I can't tell you how to do unless you work directly with me. So these are some of the things where I got my little own business going on with my website, where you can do either the whole classes on an individual level, or you could do processes with me and all these kind of things where we can go one-on-one, figuring out what you are, who you are, what you're composed of, your template, and all these kind of things, and work with me on an individual level. And I'm bridging it into kind of wanting to work with business people as well. So this is also where this framework comes in, being perfect. Because most of you have been hired at some point, and most of you knows what business is all about. And if you don't know what business is all about, you're an independent contributor. You have your own business, or you have your own idea of how you want to do things, or you're totally outside any forms of business whatsoever, but at least you have an idea that that's not where you want to go, or whatever is going on. But the analogy fits in. Everybody understands what we're talking about here. So back to the Department of Innovation and Progression and Transmutation, because this is where this is my department. And I will hire people eventually because I know their structure and how they're supposed to look. And these people that I will hire will typically be the ones that are quite far in their activation process already, who actually know that they are already activating and have seen quite a lot of stuff that I have seen. So no newbies here. Because if we are to do the innovation correctly, it has to come from a point of knowledge. And knowledge means that you actually already know everything that kind of has unfolded in many ways. And that means you're a heavy player. And a heavy player has a tendency to get a little bit too stuck in their ways. And this is the downside with the heavy players. So going into the whole innovation kind of thing is where the heavy players kind of get, these are some of the ones that come from the future, or some of the ones that turned total light and went back into the dark ones and became one of these. Yeah, some of the ones that went total light went in and became the dark ones. Yeah, they did. Because they one day understood they couldn't progress further. So these are some of the ones that knows these dynamics. after being a total light sphere, and then went to the other side and became a total dark sphere, and then worked their way into this human form, and then went into oblivion, and then began activating, unfolding it all from scratch, because they wanted to do something entirely new. However, things are different now. We can't have the oblivion thing. That doesn't work, because the company needs our expertise and our knowledge and our innovative inputs to create something new. And we are the ones that remember the different futures. So we will know not to go in that direction. We will know that when the youngsters come from the other departments that are all about technology, I love technology, let's implement all the Pleiadian genetics into our computers and the Pleiadian genetics into our cars, make them self-running and make them develop into self-running entities which we can communicate with our consciousness, because that's some of the Pleiadians were able to do. They were able to use their consciousness with their technology, which were kind of machines. There are other ways of using your consciousness and technologies. The technologies that I have an affinity to use are more holographic, which means they're easy to dissolve. But no, the Pleiadians, they work with the whole kind of concept of taking their consciousness and linking up to physical forms, which were a brilliant idea in a well-ordered, nice society as the Pleiadians. But it was a disastrous idea when the Orions got their little stinky fingers into it. And that's why we're having issues with the Orions all over the fucking place in this universe, because of the Pleiadian innovations. So this is what we need to think through and remember, okay, that perhaps wasn't such a good idea. And that with the Pleiadians and the Orions, and the Pleiadians went to the Orion system to try and undo these mistakes of the crafts that got into the hands of the Orions, and they got taken over. And by that, crying out loud, the Orions got a hand on Pleiadian vessels as well, and Pleiadian genetics, from where they integrated into their templates, and from there were able to go to the Pleiadian system and eradicate it in full and harvest all their genetics. And all of that technology, Orion Pleiadian shit technology, is here in our system right now. And that is, friends, not what lead to the AI future you know of, as in kind of where robots take over humans. No, where humans actually turn into robots. That's the AI future. Artificial intelligence is where the machines that are integrated with Pleiadian genetics go into cooperation with the physical vessel and these templates, and eventually turn the human into that bot thing. It's not the other way around. And these humans are the ones that we are all fearing, because they will raid and take over the entire universe. So we have played that one out. We're not going to go there. Then there are the current Orions here that are having a little bit of fun with the whole AI, and their AI is actually what's called alien invasion, and that's why they take over this universe. And this is what is mainly in play now, because nobody wants the whole robot kind of bot thing. Nobody wants that one. Plus it leads to quite a lot of the Orion races turns into ants and insectoid races and these kind of things, crickets and stuff. So we kind of been there with these futures, and we don't want to go there. So that's not innovation. Innovation is not technology. That's not what our department is doing. And the world leaders of our world company here, they know that. They know technology is not the answer. So that's also why we got a lot of technology going on. And then we got a little bit of factions here and there that are still playing into the whole technology kind of thing, especially Japan. But that's because the Japanese brotherhoods and their old way of doing stuff. They still want to do the whole kind of weird, they were at some point a very grand nation, grand people, and they're still bridging into they still want to revive that a little bit with being the one and the most foremost on the market with the whole robot thing. But their future is not turning into AI, so there's no need to be afraid of them. No, it's actually more the kind of the technology with the inserted genetics, as well as the whole kind of 3D printing of organs and all these kind of things, and linking computers up to DNA and these kind of things. This is where we don't want to go. That's not innovation, people. That's not innovation. That leads to futures we have already played out. Don't want to go there. No need for that. No, innovation is the transmutation and the way of working with our templates and our consciousness and the energy of this system in a total new way. And of course, we're going to have technologies, and I can come out with plenty of technologies that are being used in other systems, and that would be no problem for me to remember these technologies and talk about these technologies. The point is, I don't know how to create them as this physical form. So some of my progression work with this department, as well as also me expanding my awareness and my understanding of what type of technology I want to create in this world, remembering my other worlds where I have participated in other forms of technologies. And also kind of the other things I remember, which one is suitable for this reality, and do I even want to pull it into this reality in my influential sphere. So these are also some of the things that are going on in my little department there, which I have to think through. I'm sitting in my lab here thinking, what am I to plan, what's important, what is the main goal of this department. And I kind of put out the keywords there, and the co-workers will come eventually. But as with any kind of department, first part of it is having a lot of meetings with the CEOs, with the board. And I've been doing that for years now, so that's no new. So it's all a matter of kind of, okay, we've gone so far now that I kind of gained their trust enough to let me do this, which is good, good. But of course, not as in kind of being all naive. Most of you know, I'm a warrior, so I had to battle a little bit to get my prerogatives to do so, which I have done, and that is over. And now we kind of acknowledge, okay, Department of Innovation, Transmutation, Progression is there. It's part of this reality. Good. So with that in check, I I know what I need to play out. That's already incorporated in here. I still just don't know it yet. So that is going to play out as we go along. And this is going to be the fun part, because this is going to be where every day will be a new day of creation. Every day will be a new day where I sequence some of my hidden information inside my department. And yes, I've already got all the furniture and everything, the pencils. I've already done all the groceries. Fridge is full of good, nutritious fruities, which I call my smoothies, which are not smoothies because I don't use milk products, but water instead, so that's the fruities. And everything's in check, and I'm ready to go to work. So this is this is me being all excited, because this is going to be so much fun. So with that in check, there are going to be some kind of things that I find important for my little department here. These are some of let me do just do kind of the bars or the headlines, so to speak. For me, it's very important to understand that how I want to run this department, how I want to run this if I am to choose. If I were to choose kind of on a world scheme of things, I would say that one of the most important things in any form of alliances with anybody is not to contract. And contract means to kind of contraction. I know there are different meanings of the words. I'm only using one of the meanings of the words here. But contraction is something that's pulled or limited or pulled in. And contracts means in the original setting of the old races, they contracted each other. And contracted means that they kind of say, yeah, I've created this department and now you come and work for me, and in that you sign a contract. And these contracts, since quite a lot of you who are old, you chose the Oblivion thing because it was a little bit too heavy with the whole things that were going on. So many of you chose the Oblivion. And while you chose the Oblivion, you did not undo your contracts. Stupid decision. So now you start with these contracts, with the different alliances that you participated in or worked under, because a contract is to put yourself under the control of someone else. And these contracts need to be, that's the first step, they need to be deleted. And that's some of the things that when you go out of your Oblivion state, you begin to face your contracts. Which department are you working for? And that is why when you go back to the first video, some of the departments your template is under or owned by is because of these contracts, which you have forgotten that you made. And some of the contracts were done in a company where the polarity games were more even. So you have a company here in a city called blah, blah, blah. And at the time that city, blah, blah, blah city, was positioned in the light pillar. But since the dark pillar kind of grew a little bit there, your contract in blah, blah city suddenly came under the jurisdiction of the dark ones. So that's some of the reason why some of you, even though you contracted under the light pillar or the trade pillar, now are under contracts of the dark ones. Not so good. And these are some of the contracts with the dark ones has released because they know they can't claim them because they were made in the light pillar. But they have been used by the dark ones for quite some time, and I talked about in previous videos that the dark ones have let these contracts go because they knew they were unrightfully under their jurisdiction. So that's part of their redemption work. They have let these contracts go. The same with some of the contracts under the negative Orions. You made a contract with a specific group or race, or you went in and became part of that reality at some point while it was still under the beneficial races, let's call them that. And then you kind of had part of you going on there, and then you left that part of you there, and then you transferred into another system where you created a new version of yourself. But you were a little bit sloppy, so you didn't take care of erasing the former version of you. Or you chose to let that be because it was a nice system. While you're having fun over here, not really taking care of that other version of your past version of you, the Orions came in, as I said, from the Orion Wars and swooped that reality, and bam, that part of your template got sucked under the Orion supremacists. So these are some of the things that have happened. Even though you were over here doing beneficial work, that part of you suddenly got under the dark pillar as well. So these are some of the things that are kind of not so fortunate. So when we're talking about the new department here, we have to kind of, first and foremost, for me to at all be able to use your capacity, you need to figure out what your capacities are. What's your skills? It's like kind of when the boss asks you, or you go to a company and you have this hiring talk where you've been invited in and the boss is looking at you and saying, okay, for the recruitment. And the boss says, okay, what's your abilities? And you kind of say, yeah, I can do this, this, and this, and this. I always have difficulties in what to choose, because I can do so many things. I've been in so many different companies. I've been playing so many roles. So what are my abilities? And then you have to say, okay, I have to target it for that conversation, that company. And that means I'm talking two lines here. First, we have the contracts we need to let go of. And secondly, you're in a hiring conversation here. So we are doing the hiring thing where you understand this line of thought. Because first and foremost, in the hiring conversation, you can say you're talking to me as in being hired into my little department here. My little company, would you call it that as well. It's a matter of saying, okay, what can you do? What's your capacities? And I will look at your resume, and that's the template reading. I will look at your resumes and see, okay, these are the skills. But of course, I have got specific genetics in mind from my project, how I want to do this. So I look for the oldest templates. I look for the heavy players, as I said. I look for the ones with the most skills. But these are typically also the ones that got the most shit, because they have been in different realities, which because of the push of the dark pillar now, per definition, are under the jurisdiction of the dark pillar or the dark polarity games, which is kind of where the contracts come in. So these are some of the first things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at a template. I'm looking at who they are on the players. And typically I take care of that because everybody knows that, okay, we need innovation here. So we're letting go of these templates and sending them to Randy because she knows how to deal with this. So this is some of the things that comes in, and typically you have to look for the diamond in the rough. So these are some of the things I'm doing. But aside from that, I'm also playing with or inviting in the heavy players that just chose to do the full light thing. These are called the teachers. And some of the teachers came in under what we call Atlantis, and these are some of the very old projects that also were going on here. And in Atlantis, I had the function of what's called Guardian. And a Guardian is one because at the time of Atlantis, that were kind of made in a difficult period in the polarity games where we had a lot of things going on, a lot of wars going on, but at the same time trying to create something peaceful. And that Atlantis might not have been the Atlantis in this one, could have been Atlantis on somewhere else, but that's my Atlantis. And there I was a guardian. A guardian means that I was taking care of the teachers. I protected the teachers, and the teachers came in from benevolent systems with all of their knowledge, typically from peaceful systems. Because if you have a project where you have a lot of races that have been in the negative pillar and forgot everything about how it means to be benevolent and all these kind of things, you need teachers from benevolent systems. So the teachers are also someone I want to revive again, looking for the teachers. These are part of the innovation as well. So the teacher templates are typically the ones that come from benevolent system who remember how benevolent systems work. But many of them came here during Atlantis, and because of the things that happened, the whole fall of Atlantis and all those kind of things, because it went under the dark side, they turned into something entirely else, which then became magicians and all sorts of not so nice stuff. So there's a lot of cleansing going on there as well. But that does not make them evil or whatever. It just means that those of us who got the old templates, we have got a bit of contracting to do. And we have to revive our original purposes and remember who we are. And quite a lot of the ones that goes way far back, we are the typical ones that either put ourselves into oblivion or got put into oblivion because of the ability to bridge out to all of the other systems. And that also means that if you, for instance, are a warrior from the old timelines and you chose to do good, or you were fighting on the right side and then got into the dark pillar, or you were contractor on the good side and were drawn into the dark pillar, or you were teacher on the good side and drawn into the dark pillar, and all these kind of things. That was done deliberately to get energy, to harvest more energy. And as you were under the dark pillar, your template got more and more depleted. So there's also a lot of rebuilding to be done there. So it's not a matter of me saying, yeah, I'm taking the most viable ones. I wish. But if I want to get all of this good old information, I need to take some of the ones that are kind of need a little bit of time to restore and rebuild. So that's the whole innovation as well. I would love to get the whole kind of the young people who just all there and all new 25 years, then I'm the years old, and then I'm doing all my innovations and all these kind of things. I'm working with these as well, but they are mainly under some of the what we call the hybrid children. So they are groomed and conditioned in a specific way, which is good too. And they are to be there as well. So it has to be a combination of the old warriors, because they've been traveling around a lot and they're very, very strong in their template, and they're easy to, once they get the whole dynamic of changing themselves, it's easy to change them fully back into the correct balance point and then begin the transmutation, because their templates are so strong and they have literally tried all sides of the polarity games. The teachers as well are a little bit softer. And these are typically the ones that in this reality shows do the whole kind of love and light, or the healing thing, or the psychological thing, or just focusing on the consciousness and personal development, because that's what they came here to do. And they are also very, very important players in my company here. My department. I like company. In my company. And I'm not CEO because it's a flat structure, remember? They are also very, very important, but they have to rediscover that the way they used to teach, their approach in coming in, that was some of the things that were very difficult for these races in Atlantis, was the whole understanding that they came from peaceful systems. And then they came into this mixed one. And going into something that's very hostile and has a lot of old warriors, and at the same time, these warriors really, really wanted to change. That's where the guardian function came in, because we were kind of ensuring that there would be no harm for these teachers. But to help the teachers, they got modifications done to the template as well. And some of these modifications was that they got this kind of inserting that if some of the shitty races, some of the insectoid crickets, drained them of their energy, they would amplify themselves quickly over a day or so, and then the next day their energy would be stronger. So depletion of these templates led to more energy the day after. And you kind of see how that's been used with the teachers. That's why they've been putting healing work and doing service for others and all this kind of mind distortion, so that they could be depleted and then create more and more energy. And that's why healers and these kind of love and light and all this kind of people are being harvested the most, because they've got this old teacher template that is kind of, when you deplete it, it just produces more energy. Until the battery literally wears out and there are no more viable genetics. So that's very, very unfortunate. And that has to be changed. There is no more depletion of the teacher templates, because the teacher templates are the ones that are going to help quite a lot of the old races that are here to do new ways. But when the teachers activate and remember who and what they are, they have to upgrade their knowledge as well, because the ways that they're doing are outdated. They are so outdated and cannot be used anymore. Even their own systems have moved on. So that's a whole other awakening process where the teachers wake up and understanding, wow, I can generate a lot of energy. But what reality am I in? How am I going to use my template here? How am I going to use my genetics here? What am I actually going to teach? What am I actually going to do with the human races? They are so observant in technology. They are not interested in consciousness. They don't really want to do this. And this is where the whole kind of, just do my ashram and my yoga retreat, and I just go off grid and focus on the ones that want to do this with me. But that's not the teachers I want, because quite a lot of them are controlled by other parasitic entities called what's called the Nagas. And they are using these teacher templates for their own benefit. And that's kind of where the problem comes with some of the teacher templates that will come my way, is that I will have to deal with these Nagas, ascended masters and gurus, and all of these kind of inner guru stuff, higher self stuff, which are Nagas, a parasitic race, using the teacher template for their purposes, making the human with the teacher template thinking that they are doing the love and light and all these kind of things, while they're actually being possessed by a parasitic race that's called the Nagas, through a parasite inside their spine, working through that, working with that through the chakra teaching systems. Okay? So these are some of the problems. That's why I'm not really going for that one, because most of the enlightened people who are doing this are thinking that they are on the right path, and the Nagas are not negative. They're very positive beings, so to speak, and they do all about compassion and enlightenment and all these kind of things, and they are seeing themselves not as parasites, but doing joint evolution. That's how they see themselves. And they kind of got the allowance to do so at some point from some of the factions that were here, so they are not here on rightful contracts. On the contrary, they were actually invited in as a part of some of the teachers, as a part of TGs for some of the templates, to activate them in a way that could be controlled by some of the factions that were leading the company at the time. So this we cannot not look at either, but these templates won't come my way, because the Nagas know I'm not interested in working with them, because I am not in for parasitic races. I'm not in for another race that is not capable of taking on its own human form, and in that bridge into another physical form as a parasite and do joint evolution. I'm not in for that one. And that's also why I'm not in for the teachings where you have the whole soul integration thing going on, because that's also a sort of a parasitic race that comes in either just as consciousness and attached into the human brain of the fetus in the womb of the mother, and then still do the joint evolution. I am not in for joint evolutions, because I got my template and my body, and that's mine. I don't need any joint evolution here. I can take care of myself. So these are the ones I'm going for. I'm not going for the ones that are doing the whole joint evolution. But while you come to me and you're going to be part of my company, I will, in our little hiring conversation, spot all of the joint forces that are in you, because most humans today are, unfortunately, knowingly or unknowingly, on different levels of their template, linked up to specific races and systems and earlier contracts and stuff that has been done in previous lifetime, in previous versions, in previous cycles, and previous rounds, and all these kind of things which you're not knowledgeable of, and they are there. But the good stuff is that because I have been kind of working my way through all of these levels, when we're doing the hiring conversation, I will spot these entities. And most of them are eager to go, and that's where I kind of come in a little bit with my work as well. I'm taking care of that too. So we're releasing them, and they will go, and they will leave your template alone, letting it be yours. Most of them are gone already, so that level of work is not going to be much if I'm not totally wrong. So, but that's not what we're talking about here. I'm not doing this for everybody or whatever. It's all a matter of That's part of the whole classes. That is what we're doing there, and it takes time. It takes time for these entities to show themselves because it's kind of high level in your template. And as you grow in awareness and as you grow in energy and you cleanse out and you begin eating correctly and you administer your energies correctly, all of these things will be pushed in. If they need to go, they will surface on their own, and then they can be cleared out and you will stand stronger in your own energy. So these are some of the things that are going on. So in the hiring conversation, I will look at all of these factors, and I will kind of look at the whole kind of new template, old template, what are hybrid, military projects, scientific under the science labs, or the enhanced human projects, what's going on here? What template am I actually having here? And then it's a matter of seeing, okay, are you contracted in somewhere else? Are others actually owning you? And if that's the case, then there has to be kind of a releasing going on there. And that is always done in between the factions that owns the templates, all depending on what jurisdiction the template has participated in and how this works out. So that's why I also kind of go in with the whole company version of things. Because there's a lot of things you might think, oh, it sounds as if I have no sovereignty at all. It sounds as if I have no free will at all. It sounds as if I'm kind of, someone else is owning me, possessing me, using me, abusing me. What's going on here? Yeah, well, some of you chose to go into oblivion, and while you chose to do so, you kind of just became a little bit like the leaf floating around in the wind. Bad decision, bad decision. So that's also a piece of the work, as in kind of, okay, if you chose to go into oblivion, you have to undo that decision. And why did you choose to go into oblivion? Why did you choose to do that decision? And some of all the things that we're talking about in the hiring conversation, because that has to be unraveled as well. Did it become too much? Did you get frightened? Did you get scared? Or did you just became too much shame? What was going on? Why did you choose to go into oblivion? Why did you choose to go into oblivion? These are some of the questions you need to ask yourself in the awakening process as well. So that is part of the hiring conversation in my little department, which is all the things that needs to be figured out. And this is also where this is not going to be done overnight, because there's a lot of things that have to fall into place when you come into my department. And it has to fall into place with the whole kind of, yeah, you want to go my way. You want to go into that department, a department of innovation and progression and transmutation. You want to do that. There are a lot of stuff that you have to clear out and get in check. It's a lot of new understanding, a lot of new knowledge. You're working from one department in the company into something entirely else. You have to let go of the old contracts. You have to remember where you used to be hired so you can remember your skills and your capacities. And then you have to discern, are these faculties, these capacities, these abilities I got from the other companies, are they suitable for this company, Randy's company? That's also when you do the whole kind of, when you go into a conversation and you're getting hired or you apply for a new company, you know what you've been doing. You look at your resume and then you look at it and then you target it for the conversation with the new leader. You target it for me. You target it as in kind of, this is what I know will be beneficial for her company. When you have a conversation with me, when I'm going to hire you, you have got so much in check of who and what you are that you can actually say, I've been checking up on your company, Randy. I've been looking it up on the internet. I've been looking it up. I've been reading all your articles. I have participated in your classes. I have had several conversations with you, so I know what your company is about. I know what you're doing. I know what your goal is because I watch all the videos, and it resonates with me. I find that very, very intriguing. I find that very, very interesting. And at the same time, you're also kind of doing, as in kind of when you're applying, you either begin with my classes, so we kind of get to know each other there, and you work with me, so I get to know your capacities. That's one way in. The other one is that you literally take the time to investigate what my company is about, and then you write an application where you tell me what your skills are, where you come from, what you've been doing, what you remember, what you think you are, and what you've been working with, and not a full long one. No, you do as you do if you were going into a company where you want to get hired and you don't want to put out an application that's 6 pages. Nobody wants to read that. And it has to be in the right order, and it has to be serious, and it has to show that you know what you're doing. So these are some of the things that we talk about. Okay, I want to be part of Randy's company. You can do the whole kind of video thing here, and you can participate in that and get inspired and use it in all other ways, because sharing this information is equally, if you want to go into another department, good. Go there, go there, go there. I'm not saying this is only for the ones that choose to come my way, but this is a way you learn to use your skills, high awareness, in this reality as it is. So this is why I'm using this analogy. This is why I'm using this standpoint. I'm taking the whole business language, the whole recruiting language, the whole applying for a company language, everything that I've got in my backpack, and I fuse it in with the high awareness and the understanding of you as a high awareness being, human, with a template that has got different things in its backpack, so to speak, has got different things in it. So these are some of the things which I actually am thinking about when I'm talking about. I should make one video on its own on how to apply and these kind of things, but that's probably going a little bit too detailed, which is something that I have a little bit of thing to do. So when we're talking about the whole department, and we got this one up and running, and the ways of working with this and getting ready to participate in that department of innovation, transmutation, and progression, is that you sit down and you think through. Step one, you investigate the company you want to apply into. That's my company, that's my website, that's my material, that's all my free material, that's all my videos, that's all my articles, that's everything. And secondly, when you discover that and you watch my videos and you kind of get a little bit, it's not fully there yet, but you're kind of getting, oh, this is something about creating something entirely new. So it's not already established. It's actually kind of hiring yourself into a company that is on the brink of something totally new. And that totally new is something that excites you. And you do understand that meaning to create something totally new is that there are no rules as such. There's no kind of, this is how we do it. This is kind of, that has to develop along the way. So it's a process company. It's not already consolidated as in this is how we do it and blah, 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 and the ways and rules and matters and blah, 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 blah. And that's not the co-workers I'm looking for, because that's kind of old school. You can do that with the other ones. They're already solidified and, or what do you call it? They're already manifested into their company structures. And that's not what we're doing here. So that means that you get that one in check. Secondly, you go in and look at yourself and say, do I actually have the capacities for this? Am I actually equipped to do this kind of new company thing? This kind of company I find very interesting. And one of the ways you can do this, that, as I said before, you can take my classes, you can work with me on a personal level, you can do whole classes as a group, or you can begin as an individual, doing it in 1 month, and then you can continue working with me on an individual basis where we figure out, targeted and tailored for you in my company, what function you are going to have. And as you are there in that function in my company, working with me, I will groom you. But you are free to go anytime you like. My company is an open trust structure. And what does that mean? Open trust structure means that we work together as long as it's beneficial for both of us. But it also means that we are honorable in our ways, that we keep what we promise, that we follow through, that we work to the best of our abilities, and that we all of the time check in with each other to figure out where the project is going. We do a kind of open trust because we have the same goal. And the goal is innovation, transmutation, and progression. That's our goal. Open trust means that you are free to do it as you like. It's not to be done my way. Because as a business leader, I'm actually not interested in you just following my ways. I don't like sheeps, because sheep do not invent things. They are followers. I don't need followers. I need people who can think on their own, who are ready to do stuff on their own. But I don't need the ones that are so individual that they can't take an order. So that's not good either. So it has to be in between a sheep and a rogue, to put it that way. Has to be in between. And this is where I typically like the soldier structure of the old templates, the soldiers. Because we have been played under kind of both being high and low, being a soldier, being a general, being a commander, all the kind of things that in the different wars. And when you have played the different roles, you know when to give order and when to take orders. You know when to work for the cause and when to work as an individual. You know when to go on a mission, and you know when to go on a whole kind of a mission on your own, or a mission as a team. And this does not go with the current military we have on this planet that's totally brainwashed. No, this is about a very full capacity template that is so good at anticipating all factors at the same time. So this is where the warrior template typically comes in, but these are also some of the ones that are most difficult to work with, because most of the warrior templates, because of the issues that were going on here, because of the wars and because of the many things that they saw, have chosen to go into oblivion. Plus, when we kind of got the whole pushing in of the dark thing, the warrior templates were the ones that were taken out first. The teachers were allowed to have semi-consciousness, hence the gurus and all these kind of things, because they were easy to manipulate and control through the nagas. So we're kind of having that the old warriors that came here, they are the ones that have been targeted the heaviest with shit stuff to keep them down. But the warriors are also the ones that when they come up and when they begin, when they go back to spiraling out again, we can create so much energy. And aside from creating energy and creating, because that's actually a warrior, someone who can both destroy when needed, but also create, because that's the same polarity, that's the same energy. So, just in each and one of the versions of it. So when I get these up and running, we can amplify each other tremendously, and at the same time, we can work as a legion. And that means we can move as a group, or we can work as an individual. So that's why I'm also kind of a little bit on the look for these warrior types, but there are not many of them left, because most of them have been taken so severely out, and they can barely remember who and what they are and what their own name is, because they've got so much shit in their template. So that's where I kind of a little bit, yeah, okay, that's a little bit difficult. But they will come our way, because these are the ones that are going to generate most energy. And when they begin generating the energy, and that's why the CEOs up there of the dark fashions and everybody wants, they want these templates to awaken. Because when they do awaken, we generate enormous amounts of energy, become lighthouses, not as spiritual teachers. No, this is something entirely else, and that's where huge creation can come in. But warriors need a purpose, whereas the teachers are more kind of, yeah, let's just go this and that, just follow the process, and let's just do that. Warriors, we have to have a goal. Sorry, I'm an old warrior, you kind of figured that one out a long time ago. We have to have a goal, it has to have a purpose, we have to somewhere to direct our energy, because if we don't, outwards, it goes inwards, and then we begin going into all shit levels of our template, which we're not going to go into. I've been there, I've done that. No need. So if you come to me with a warrior template, my function as your group leader will be to direct your capacity into a project and not back into the past. Because most of you either chose to go into oblivion on your own because you didn't want to remember it. And I have to honor that. I'm not going to activate you into that one. Or you got brought into oblivion, then you got so much shit in your template, we'll have to clear it out together, which will mean you have to do a boot camp with me for me to clear it out. And at the same time, you need to, and your human side, need to struggle with all the wars you've been part of and what you've been doing there, which is not easy either. But these are some of the ones that when they're up and running well, will create a lot of stuff. And this is where the business again comes in, because that's a way where the warrior template can unfold in competition, because that's what the warriors are doing as well. But not in the distorted way which leads to division, because we're not going to compete to divide. We're going to compete to push each other forward, like how you know the one that runs with the staff, one round and then you push the other one up. We compete to push each other forward, to create more, to do more, to expand more, to amplify more, to come up with new ideas. That's the competition. Competitions as friends, in a way where we work for the same goal, we run alongside each other so we can create together. These are the people I want in my department. So I want teachers, I want warriors, and I also want the hybrids. And I do to some degree want some of the Orions, the ones that I can kind of trust and transmute. The dark ones will always be there lurking in some ways because that's part of the template of most humans today, but they will be weeded out eventually, which we will do, and the dark ones know that, and they're allowing for that to do so because they have to go home. They are the black Syrian, that system is gone anyway, so this is the last place they have to be, and they are in evaporation, so they will go eventually on their own. And then we got the science projects, the rogue nations, who are living in different pockets of reality and are ready for the whole solar nation space things. These we will learn to collaborate with eventually as well. So it's a matter of when we get this department up and running and get it up running right, there will be a lot of possibilities of doing collaborations, but this has to be done in open trust. That means that as long as everything is for the same goal of a future where everybody has a possibility to exist and create their relative reality within the dynamics and the principles and the original rules of this construction we are in, called our solar system, then we are in an open trust alliance, which means we are all working for the same goal, and that is continuation of the human race. Enhanced, otherworldly, current worldly, outer humanity, inner humanity. There's still a lot of hidden inner humanities. Most of them are what we call mammal humans, or the clans, and all of these kind of things, so everybody has a fair chance. So that's the open trust alliances. Everybody has a fair chance. It's not competing to divide or separate, but it's competing to get the best capacity out in all of us. So we will progress and get this system running back into the original purposes it had to begin with. Okay, that was a little bit here and there and everywhere, but you know, that's me. That's kind of taking your brain in different ways, and that's good for you. Okay, I will leave this video for now. Bye.